All right, so we're here with Adrienne and we are doing a full set on a nail biter. So here is what a fix-it should look like as it's dried. This is a nail that I applied too much. I just wanted to show you guys the difference. See how this turns matte and this one still looks really shiny? There's a little bit too much on there. So all I'm just gonna do is just take a dry wipe and wipe some excess. You don't wanna have a ton of extra a fix-it. A fix-it is your sticky primer. So first I used, just gonna make sure that that's backed out a little bit. First I used No Lift, which is your standard primer, and then that dehydrated and microscopically etched the nail. And then I used a fix-it after that dried, and I did sorry, I started working and then got distracted with talking. I used a fix-it and let that dry for about a minute while I made sure that everything was good with her forms. So now I am applying OptiBond. When I do a full set, my favorite products to use are OptiBond and Natural. OptiBond is from the Options line. It's just a really good bonding gel because it's really flexible. So it flexes with the natural nail, so you get just really minimal lifting with that bonding gel. So it is my favorite. You can use it with Enhance. So if you want to try something different than Adhere, it is UV LED curable, so you can use that with Enhance. The lights are under the table. You can just slide it right on in. Suki? Hi, Suki. Jess is here this morning so that she can relay any questions you guys have, which is always easier than me trying to read them because my little camera machine just blocks it. Suki should be doing nails. He's probably on break. Suki's from Arizona. We like Suki. He's fun. All right, so see this form has moved up a little bit and it's sitting on top of her nail. So I could try to readjust it, but I don't want to tuck it underneath her little ledge of her nail or it's going to get really sore. So I'm just going to reapply this form a little bit farther back and push that skin down just so that we don't get it in the wrong place. We want to make sure that we don't end up with nail not attached to gel. So do you guys see that now? It butts up right against her natural nail there, which is perfect. Just make sure it's down. All right, go ahead on in. So that was OptiBond, and I'm going to use Natural Pink. Come on in.
The light never came
That's okay. It's on a timer, but I'm faster than the timer sometimes. All right, so when I do a full set, I do 2 layers. My first layer is going to be for arch and length, and the second layer is going to fill in the back. So I drop a ball right here in the center. We've already talked about length when I was putting on her second set of forms, and she kind of wants an almond shape. So I typically don't go more than double the length of their nail bed if they can help it, because especially for someone that hasn't had nails on in a while, if you go more than double the length, that's when they start having problems. They don't really know how to function with all of that immediate length. So that's kind of my general rule of thumb, is if this is the length here, that's going to be the most length that I do here. Does that make sense, guys? So this is my maximum length I typically do for a full set, is this much right here. So it's typically in competition, I believe that's the general rule of thumb, is twice the nail bed length, or twice the, or the whole, the nail should be maximum twice the nail bed length. I don't know. Suki could tell us. Suki's competitor, amazing competitor. I might get into competing. We'll see. No promises. So again, I'm just dropping a ball right in the center of the nail and coming over to the side and to the side. I've done this technique for about probably 15 years almost. And the best way to describe it is basically a triangle and then coming down and getting your length. And the reason I do that is because if you try to cover the whole nail at once, you end up with a big mess and your gel is going to totally self-level down. It is super warm in here, so it's self-leveling more than usual. I left the heat on last night. But I want to come all the way to the sidewalls. She's picked or bitten at that sidewall over there, So I'm going to create it. So work with what you have and then use your judgment with shaping to see where you need to add more when you're working with a nail biter. And right there, she needed some nail so that her nail is the correct width all the way over. All right, go on in and just stay in. I'm going to turn it on and off for you so you don't have to go in and out. That's all I'm going to be turning it on and off. It's only going to be a second or so at a time. Nope, don't move because it'll turn on. Yep, and then it gets hot. So you want to just let it cool for quite a while. Just keep it out then. Yeah. You want to not let the light go on. You want to let it cool. And so if they're wiggling in there and it turns on, you're going to have the exothermic reaction. It's going to get hot. So I literally only have them in for a second. But when they are, nope, don't go in. I'm going to let you know when you go in. I want to make sure that that's cooled and we're not in any rush because I can add the second layer of gel before that's even had a full cure. So I'm just going to let her cool. Newbies, you got to teach them how to do the light. These lights are more sensitive, yeah. Yeah, these lights are very sensitive, so they notice the movement. So if you wiggle your fingers around, it will turn on. And so, and new clients especially don't understand typically that you don't want the light on as much as you think you do. You actually only want it on for a second. All right, you can go back in. And I'm just going to turn it on for a few seconds. Not even, I guess 1 second and then off. It's enough light for it to continue the curing process. Jim McConnell from Light Elegance just came out with them new lights, and I am testing it soon. It should be here soon, so I can check it out. But basically, he's come up with a way to have a hard gel mode, and so it will slowly turn the light on instead of it being the full amount right from the get-go. So I'm gonna see how that works. I like to test everything when it comes out, so I use Accents because after testing everything, it's still by far my favorite gel. It should be fine now. But see how sensitive it is? You wiggled just a little bit and it came out. All right, come on out. So if it's warm, this is also the time you can go in for a second. With the other hand, you can just go in for 1 second. So when it's warm, this is also when you can squeeze. So if you, it's gonna feel better when you squeeze their fingers anyway. But if you have clips, I'm not gonna use clips on her because she's a nail biter, and they tend to be too much pinching for a nail biter because the nail beds tend to be quite wide. But if it's warm at all, this is probably warm. It was probably warm on the thumb because the thumb's always the last thing to get in. That was where it was warm. The thumb is the last thing to get into the light, so it tends to cure, and it tends to get warm last.
Sunita Scott missed the beginning. What did you use as a base?
I just used OptiBond, Sunita. If you're using an LED light and you don't have a hybrid light or a UV light, then you would use Builder. Oh, I'm sorry, not Builder, Balance. So if I was using the Performance line and I was doing this technique, I typically would use Balance as my my stress area or my arch layer. It's got more of this kind of a consistency than Enhance. Enhance is a little bit too runny to get a stress area in the nail. You can, it's just, it takes more work. Whereas Balance has a little bit more body to it and it will give you a really good stress area really easily. So I would use Balance for the first coat, and then you can either use Balance for the second coat or you can use Enhance for this coat. This coat works really well with Enhance as well. I just want to get a little bit more of an arch on this nail, so I'm just moving a little bit more gel around.
Hey Jess, can you show a down the barrel shot?
Well, right now we're just, it's a little bit tricky because they're pretty flat because they are nail biter nails, so I'm not trying to squeeze a massive C curve into them. If this client, I was trying to give a full makeover where we were going to be sculpturing really long nails and try to get her into a really good C curve, I would probably do this on her like this, and then in 3 or 4 months, maybe do a new full set, because then you can squeeze a better C-curve into it as her nail bed has elongated. Because nail biters have very short nail beds, as you know. But as they wear nails, their nail beds will actually elongate, and you can work with them a little bit differently. And I would probably try doing a C-curve at that point. But in the real world, they are not looking for typically that kind of a look. They just want long, fabulous nails. I'm going to freeze this again. On the other hand. All right. So some of these are going to be a little bit more filing. This one had run over to the side a little bit. So I will show you how I start the filing process. I actually use my e-file at the beginning just to get rid of some of the excess. It's much easier to just get gel on there and file it into place without trying to make it perfect forever. If you can get it on there and make it perfect really quickly, cool. But don't play with the gel longer than it would take you to file it, because you want to remember that your clients don't want to be in the chair for 3 hours, and it's not beneficial to you to take 3 hours for a full set. Just getting a little bit more in there. See that down the arch? It's got a good arch in there. Gonna check that one, make sure we have enough product in there. I just want to have enough product that I'm going to be able to file these into shape. So if I don't think I have enough, now's the time to add it, because you don't want to have to go back and forth. Oh, this one got bumped a little bit. This one hasn't carried very much yet. That's okay. I wasn't paying attention to this hand, so I'm going to go ahead and get this curing. So I've got both hands flashing right now, and I'll be back in a little bit to show you my filing process. But that's just the basic application of product for the full set.